The Science of Safety, Exploring Polyvagal Theory. This is printed in freeclearmind.com, written by Katie Love. How safe we feel is crucial to our physical and mental health and happiness. Dr. Stephen Porges. Nervous system regulation has become a hot topic in the field of psychology, neuroscience, and even your favorite social media influencers. Visit a bookstore, scroll the gram, or go on any podcast app and you'll find a plethora of information. It seems that everyone can't stop talking about it. And for all the buzz, is the nervous system really that big of a deal? It turns out the answer is unequivocally yes. It truly is worth the hype. And let's take a closer look at why and how it matters with an exploration of polyvagal theory. What is polyvagal theory? Polyvagal theory was developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, PhD, in 1994. It seeks to explain the way our nervous system reads signals from our environment and our social interactions to influence our mental and physical state of being. The theory describes how our brain and body work together to respond to stressors and everyday life experiences. Since its original inception, polyvagal theory has been expanded upon and used in many facets of society, including therapeutic modalities, school and workplace organization, and in healthcare settings. Several prominent therapists in both the mental health and the physical therapy field have incorporated poly-informed treatment into their repertoires, including Deb Dana, LCSW, and therapist Stanley Rosenberg, the founder of the Rosenberg Institute. At the root of polyvagal theory is the autonomic or autonomic nervous system. The autonomic system controls all of the body's involuntary functions and governs nearly all of the body's vital organs. It's composed of the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches, each of which serve to take up your blood pumping, your lungs breathing, and your body in homeostasis. Even if you've never heard of it before, your autonomic nervous system literally keeps you alive every second of the day and night. It's kind of a big deal. And in order to comprehend the complexity of the polyvagal theory, you have to discuss what may be the most important component of all. What happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. First things first, we have to address the star player in the game, the vagus nerve. You may have heard it thrown around a time or two in conversation, and what exactly does it do? The vagus nerve, or cranial nerve X, is unique in that it's involved in the activity of nearly every vital organ in your body. It's the longest of all cranial nerves, extending from the base of the brain all the way to the abdominal organs and the gut. The vagus nerve is part of the parasympathetic rest and digest branch of the autonomic nervous system. Most of the cranial nerves primarily regulate one body part, but the vagus nerve is an overachiever. The vagus nerve controls and affects the heart rate, the speed and efficiency of the digestive system, the respiratory rate and breathing, touch receptors, muscles and skin sensations, taste, swallowing and saliva production, mood and emotional state, immune responses, and speech and tone of voice. Perhaps you've had the experience preparing for a job interview and feeling your heart thumping, your face warming, and your palms sweating. If you had recently eaten, maybe you also had some indigestion or reflux. On the contrary, you may recall a time when you felt at ease and surrounded by loved ones, like a holiday gathering. Your breathing relaxed, your heart rate slowed, and your digestive system happily went to work on processing your Thanksgiving dinner. This is the vagus nerve in action. As implicated in the name polyvagal theory, the vagus nerve has two branches, the dorsal vagal branch and the ventral vagal branch. Let's take a closer look at how each of these branches impacts us in our daily lives. Taking the temperature of your nervous system. Behind the scenes, your autonomic nervous system is constantly reading the room without your conscious awareness. It looks for cues of safety or danger and relays the information to your brain, which then activates one of the three possible response pathways. One pathway is directed by the sympathetic division, and the other two are directed by the parasympathetic division. You might already be familiar with the sympathetic response, commonly referred to as fight or flight. It's triggered when the nervous system detects a threat or stressor. The parasympathetic pathways are the vagus nerve's territory. The first, the dorsal vagal branch, is yours during times of ongoing, unrelenting stress or overwhelm, when a situation becomes more than your nervous system can handle. The ventral vagal branch is activated when you feel safe, connected, and free to let down your guard. The brain's action of sensing and responding to your environment is called neuroception. Think of it as nervous system perception. Depending on how your nervous system perceives a situation, it will activate one of the three various pathways as a response. Here's a brief overview of how this may play out. The sympathetic pathway is mobilization. Blood pressure and heart rate increase, allowing for quicker response times and an ease of physical movement to respond to a stressful situation. Digestion comes to a halt. There's no time to stop for a snack. A sense of anxiety, restlessness, or even panic may predominate the thoughts. Pain tolerance, sensory sensitivity, and the ability to detect feelings and movements of others increases. Dorsal vagal immobilization. Heart rate, blood pressure, and situational awareness drop. A sense of dissociation, blacking out, numbness, helplessness, and overwhelm floods the mind. The ability to speak, interpret language, and communicate clearly is impaired. Pain receptors are in a hyperactive state. Ventral vagal, safety and connection. The body is calm and relaxed with no heightened defense systems. The ability to heal, think clearly and critically, digest, and connect with others is activated. There's enough safety for the mind and body to be freed up for creative thinking, social engagement, and vulnerability. It's pretty clear that the ventral vagal zone is probably what most people would consider to be the ideal state of being. It's also painfully clear that it's likely not where most people spend their time. Not to mention that it's not exactly the easiest state to be in today's world. That being said, there's no good or bad state. They all have their place and serve a protective function. The problem arises when we become unable to come down from a place of activation or get stuck in the basement of shutdown. Thankfully, there are tools we can use and skills we can develop to help ourselves become more balanced. Integration and regulation. The goal is never to remain in one state 24/7, but to train the nervous system to be flexible and able to return to homeostasis after the activation or shutdown response is no longer needed. It's not uncommon, especially after going through traumatic events or long-term stress, for the nervous system to become anchored in either sympathetic or dorsal vagal. This is called sympathetic dominance or dorsal vagal dominance. And thankfully, your nervous system is highly trainable, and you can develop more resistance over time by engaging in certain practices. Here are a few free, easy to implement ideas that you can try out starting today. If something doesn't interest you right now, that's okay. And give yourself time to experiment and see what works for you. Breath work. Slow, deep breathing from your diaphragm, especially with longer exhalation, can engage your vagus nerve in as little as 2 minutes. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system and helps to bring you back to a place of calm and safety. You can also try other breathing exercises like anchor breathing, alternate nostril breathing, or box breathing. If you're in a dorsal vagal shutdown, more activating breath work like breath of fire can help bring some activation back into your system. It's best to avoid activating breath work of that sort if you're trying to come back down from a sympathetic dominant state. Laughter. Everyone loves a good laugh, but it truly does the body good too. Laughter signals the social engagement system of the ventral vagal branch and sends a message of connection and safety. Next time you go out to the movies or queue up Netflix, choose a comedy or a stand-up. Horror films and action movies, especially if you're already in a state of stress, can lead to a worsening state of stress, sympathetic, or fear, dorsal vagal overload. Movement and somatic experiencing. Gentle movement, like walking, moving your arms up and down, and even massage can all bring a sense of calm to the body and mind. Incorporating mindfulness into your movement practice by removing external distractions like music, work emails, and social media can enhance the relaxing, regulating effects. There are also specific somatic mindfulness practices you can try out, such as progressive muscle relaxation, the self-hug, and cold exposure therapy. Co-regulation. All the methods we've gone over so far are great, but co-regulation may top the list as your nervous system's number one favorite. What is co-regulation? Co-regulation is a process of returning to a ventral vagal state with the aid of another person who can provide compassion, safety, warmth, verbal acknowledgement of distress, and a calm presence. Since social connection is the language of the ventral vagal pathway, co-regulation is the most effective way to promote well-being. If you don't have anyone available who meets those needs for you, you can also co-regulate to some extent by petting or cuddling with an animal who is calm and friendly. And you can also achieve co-regulation through spiritual connection with a higher power, if that's something that resonates for you. Where can I learn more? Polyvagal theory and the science of our nervous system are constantly evolving and growing. There's only so much we can cover here, and there's plenty of additional resources that are available for you to feed your curiosity and expand your knowledge. Dr. Porges, Deb Dana, and other scientists and practitioners have written several books evolving into the science and practical applications of polyvagal theory. With the recent surge of interest in nervous system regulation, new books and research articles are being published all the time, and there's also online courses, groups, and trainings available online for individuals with a variety of backgrounds and experience levels. One of the best ways to support your vagus and nervous system is by connecting with a trusted, safe individual in a calm, centering environment. After all, your nervous system's favorite medicine is co-regulating with someone you trust and feel you can confide in. Therapy can be a great way to get started, especially if you find yourself in a season of life where you're lacking supportive relationships or need extra help managing life's stressors.